Today I'm at UKREIIF with the management team of Colliers from Birmingham Midlands. We've got Martin Edwards here.
So I'm Head of Investment Property Management in the Midlands for Colliers.
And we've got this beautiful Cypriot lady. What's your role, please?
Hi everyone, I'm Alexia Frixu-Wynn. I'm a director in the property management team in Colliers, Birmingham.
So I've got a few questions for both of you. So obviously you know Birmingham Midlands inside out. We've got offices in Birmingham, we've done a lot of development, bought a lot of real estate in Birmingham. How does Birmingham compare to investing in the other parts of the country like Manchester or London?
I think it's a very interesting question. I think from an investment point of view, obviously there's investment agents advising on different sectors within Birmingham, which is really interesting. I think it's obviously moving between the different sort of centres around the country. So, you know, Manchester, you've got Birmingham, you've got Leeds, London, etc., etc. So I think markets are shifting in different ways. But I think from our point of view, we're very much about managing the assets. So we're not about advising on investment. We're very much about advising once people have purchased investments as to how you manage investments well. So very much about monitoring the data insights around investments, very much about thinking about how you have strategies around the investment once you've bought it. So customer experience, placemaking, event strategy, activation strategy, rent collection, you know, I think day-to-day management, but you need experienced property managers to do that.
You do the asset management of Colliers. Mm-hmm. So if somebody has an asset that want you to manage it, why would someone choose Colliers over, let's say, one of your competitors like Savills or CBRE? Why would they come to Colliers?
So from my perspective, I think communication is probably the biggest thing for us. I think it's pretty basic, but you know, a lot of feedback that we've had from clients that have moved from some of these companies, communication has been something that has been lacking. So, you know, we're always on the phone, we're always in the offices, we're there, we're available. So that's one of our key things. And also just collecting the rent on time, service charge, everything, the basics, doing them right. And sometimes some of our competitors forget that side of things.
So do you, is your asset class offices that you manage?
So we deal with everything, yeah, offices. So in London, we are the biggest managing agent in the West End.
Nice.
But across the UK, Bristol, Manchester, we deal with nationally, IPM, you know, so property management, all across the UK, but we deal with all assets from industrial shopping centres, so we've got a shopping centre team in Birmingham as well. So we do a whole range of things.
Today I'm at UKREIIF with Colliers team. I'm with Dominic Pazzoni, Italian surname, and Chris Lewis, who's the head of the capital markets, regional. So first of all, what do you think of UKREIIF? Do you think it can ever be like MIPIM?
I think it's on a par with MIPIM, if not better. I think if you actually go around the city today, the footfall's been phenomenal. A lot of investors, a lot of consultants, a lot of developers. I think there's a real appetite to come here, a lot of local authorities. I think it's great representation.
Good. The only thing that MIPIM has the advantage of is over the weather.
The weather's always the weather's better, but it's going to be better over the next few days.
Let's hope
I think
so.
it's going to improve. But
definitely.
No, I think it's the first day, but I think some good talks, some good discussions. Obviously, the market at the moment is challenging, but I think there's a good sort of a good vibe in terms of the investment appetite that's out there.
Yeah, definitely.
No, that's that. I say actually just coming off the train literally 2-3 hours ago, the buzz that you've got, which is as you come off the train, and the people you bump into straight away.
Exactly.
There seems to be a little bit of positivity seeping in, particularly, and obviously where I do offices. In the office market, we're starting to see sort of a few people who've actually raise their heads above the parapet to say, well, actually, we might well have to start looking at some of these assets, and in particular in the big regional centres, which, you know, obviously we talked about Manchester, but we're talking about all the UK top tier cities.
And if somebody comes to Colliers or Manchester, you know the Manchester property market inside out. So if somebody came to you with £10 million and said, I want to buy property either in London or Manchester, what would you say? Why is Manchester beating London to invest £10 million?
I think Manchester is it's one of the leading cities. Outside London, it's a phenomenal city. It's attracted and continues to attract significant investment, inward investment, occupiers and businesses. One of the great strengths of the city is the student population. It's the largest student population outside of London, but in addition it has the biggest retention rate. So students are graduating in Manchester, they're staying in Manchester, they're investing in Manchester. That's attracting businesses, that's creating the residential development that we see in the city skyline.
Yeah.
But in effect, it's not just that, it's the culture, the place, the people. It also has great leadership, and that leadership, as you and I know, has been there. I've been working in Manchester 30 years.
Yes.
That leadership continues from when Sir Howard was here all the way through to today. So it's a great city, and I think it's a very compelling place to be. You've got the airport connectivity, it's well connected to London and to the rest of the regions, and there's some great opportunities in the market.
Between the three of us, we've got 100 years of property experience.
Yeah, give or take.
Yeah. So my question to you, Dominic, first of all, is a lot of viewers will watch this, a lot of up-and-coming entrepreneurs, property investors. What advice would you give anybody watching who wants to get into real estate?
Perseverance, interest, engagement. Talk to people like you, talk to people like Chris, myself. Property is a very engaging business. It's sociable. Keep your eyes wide open and look out for opportunities. You yourself be successful. Looking at how you can take a building from what it is, be it a vacant building, how you can repurpose buildings. There are certain buildings that become more obsolete now, and maybe they're no longer suitable for offices. Are they alternative uses? Residential, apartments, senior living. How can they be taken forward and learn?
My advice would be to look at the asset management angle. When you look at a property, when you're looking at buying it, look at how you can add value, asset management angles, and don't buy it for the sake of vanity. When I was younger, I used to buy property just to tell my friends I bought that property, like Lancaster Buildings or Island Site. Now I purely look at the numbers to see if the numbers stack up, and if the numbers work, I'll go and buy it. Now, what's your opinion? You can't use our answers.
I can't use your answer. No, I'd say you've got to look at it holistically, though.
Yeah.
So there's a location point here as well.
Yeah.
So you've got to pick your centres and your locations within those centres pretty carefully. As you say, the asset management play needs to be important. You can't think, purely on vanity. You've got to think, what am I turning this into, and how will I exit it? If you lose sight of where you're exiting, that's where you have issues. So be aware of where you're going to be selling it onto.
What do you think of the real estate market in the UK at the moment? Because every lender has a different appetite. So one lender like Lloyds or Barclays might give me 60% of the valuation. Santander might give you 70%. What's your current status view of the UK property market?
Yeah, the market is open and it's very active. Obviously, it's a regulated market, and we're also driven by what sort of geopolitical events might be going on in the world, and so that always has an effect. But Santander are open for business, absolutely open for business, and keen to extend business with new clients and more with existing clients, and so every deal is looked at on its own merits, and the structures you can provide depending on the inputs of
and obviously it depends on the asset class. If I suddenly give you a building with a 20-year lease to Sainsbury's, giving me 8% yield, obviously you'd be more aggressive on the debt, wouldn't you?
A 20-year lease would be good these days. I mean, it's not so long ago that in the supermarket industry, of course, 30-35-year leases were uncommon, but that's a natural progression of the market. Shorter leases are natural. So a strong covenant with a long lease obviously allows you to leverage against those very factors.
And depending on the covenant strength, etc.
Yeah.
What about, Matt, the borrowing properties for apartments? A lot of lenders aren't liking apartments at the moment, are they?
Well, living is the living sector generally is something that we're equally open to. But again, the sponsor, BTR, co-living, they're all. Some of them are emerging elements, parts of the residential market. But once again, down to the specifics of the asset, the ESG credentials of the asset, its location and the demand for accommodation of that type, whether it's co-living, BTR, PRS in that specific location. But if those things stack up, then there's appetite, absolutely.
So the key determining factor is location and serviceability, is it?
Location is naturally there, but the sponsor of who you're dealing with, the location for residential living, definitely the location and therefore the market dynamics of that location and the demand for such. But
The asset class, the servability, everything falls into play, doesn't it?
yeah.
Advice and tips, Matt, would you give to somebody, a new up-and-coming entrepreneur who wants to get into real estate from your 14 years at Santander you've been at?
Yeah. Well, I was elsewhere before
Yeah.
then, but yeah, I mean that I guess that's a different, I would say, a positive aspect to the market than say before the financial crisis, where there was a much more one-level player of senior debt offering, whereas now you do have that ability to get something in. Obviously, you can buy something where it is largely unlet or it's got asset management needs. You get a different type of funding for that period of time.
Short-term funding.
And then when it's been asset managed, it's got sustainable income, then it can be put on senior debt terms, which is where we come into play. Yeah,
that's right. So the key thing is to buy the right asset, isn't it, at the right price, and then it's a lot easier to get gearing once you've got income.
Yeah, a lot easier to get gearing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we are cash flow lenders, not asset financiers. We're cash flow lenders, so it's the asset and all the elements of the asset, but then based on the cash flow, the rent roll and what that can service.